2015's Steve Jobs is hands down my favorite biopic of all time. Hi, what's up, everybody? So today I'm revisiting Steve Jobs from 2015, directed by Danny Boyle, starring Michael Fassbender, Jeff Daniels, Kate Winslet, and Seth Rogen. And it's so well done. I love so many things about this movie. I periodically not just watch the movie in its entirety, but I'll go back and revisit scenes over and over and over again and just kind of marvel at the rhythm and melody of the dialogue. It is another movie written by Aaron Sorkin. We talked about The American President a couple days ago, and I figured after that, let me watch my favorite, or probably, yeah, I think it is my favorite. It's the one that Aaron Sorkin movie that I've watched the most. And it's not the typical biopic in the sense of, okay, somebody's born on one day, they die on this other day, and then let's hit the greatest hits along the way. What he did instead was take one of the things that Steve Jobs is most known for, which was the product launches. You think the Macintosh, you think the iPod, the iPad, etc. And since there was always this level of spectacle related to those product launches, he decided to center the movie on three specific product launches in three different eras. So you have the original Macintosh in 1984, you have the next computer in, I believe, 1988, and then you have the newer version of the Macintosh in 1998 after Steve Jobs' return to Apple as CEO. And so it's in three acts, and each act, and this is a testament to Danny Boyle. I don't know what went on in that creative part of it that made them decide we're going to film each part, all three parts, with different kinds of film. So for example, in Act 1, because it takes place in 1984, we're going to do 16 millimeter. In 1988, it's 36 millimeter, and in 1998, it's digital. So kind of tracking the progress of technology as the story unfolds. And I thought that was such an interesting way. I've never heard of anything being done like that before, but it just adds to the feeling of those specific eras and moments in the movie. And then the other thing that Aaron Sorkin did was take 5 specific relationships that Steve Jobs had and then play them out throughout the course of these product launches. So he'll have a conversation with them, some friendly, some not so friendly, and you'll see how everything evolves depending on the things that happen. So it's conversations he has with John Sculley, the former CEO of Apple, with Joanna, his partner in crime at work, with Chrisanne, his ex-girlfriend and mother of his daughter Lisa, and with Seth Rogen, who he plays Steve Wozniak. So he has scenes with all 5 of these people in each act. And the dialogue, of course, is just a masterclass of melody and rhythm, but he's still able to somehow capture the point of contention with each person, but also the point of resolution or the point of love and affection. And it really shows Steve Jobs as a three-dimensional, very complicated person. There's a line at the very end where Steve Jobs is talking to his daughter Lisa, and he admits to her, "I'm poorly made," and it kind of demystified a lot, because I always laugh at Bill Burr's characterization of Steve Jobs. He called him Nerd Jesus, because in the eyes of so many big hardcore Apple fans, Steve Jobs could do no wrong, but he was human, just like all of us, and he had flaws, and very, very serious character flaws. Yet it didn't prevent him from doing incredible things with the company. But there's also these clashing ideas. Even Steve Wozniak's character And I really want to say that, like, even though Aaron Sorkin did a lot of research, he based most of his writing on the Walter Isaacson biography that came out a few years before. But he also did a lot of other research, and he really wanted to get the essence of the characters, not just have it be a carbon copy of the characters in the script. And one of the things that Steve Wozniak's character says is that it's not binary. You can be decent and good. You can be brilliant and a decent person at the same time. And so I just love Seth Rogen's, particularly his performance. You always think of him as the dude from Pineapple Express or Knocked Up or any of these very silly comedies, but he turns in just an absolute legit dramatic performance with a lot of heart and a lot of earnestness and authenticity. It's an amazing performance, especially when you're not expecting it. But of course, Michael Fassbender is the show. I believe he was even nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. And yes, he does not look anything like Steve Jobs, and that was kind of the thing for a while. But you don't worry about it so much after a while. You just kind of go along with the dialogue. And even Danny Boyle said it in the promotions and after the fact that I wanted him just to get the essence of Steve, because in this case, Steve Jobs is a character, not just a person. So let's get the authenticity of the character and then don't necessarily worry about the physicality and looking like him. And it all just works. And it works wonderfully. At the last act, he does kind of make himself look like Steve Jobs a little bit, but even then, he's Michael Fassbender. And it really kind of made me think, because I was so excited for this movie when it first came out, because I've been hearing a lot about it. Specifically, here's some behind the scenes trivia. It was supposed to be directed by David Fincher. It was going to be his reunion with Aaron Sorkin after The Social Network. And Steve Jobs was originally going to be played by Christian Bale. Now that's somebody just not only, A-level actor, but he could embody and physically look like Steve Jobs. He could have pulled it off. But things happened, creative differences, business differences with the film company. And so they decided not to do it. But I think in the end, the product that was produced was just so great. I love it. So endlessly watchable. And if you want to just see a biopic done in a different way, we're in the wake of the Michael Jackson biopic, which I still love, but it was pretty formulaic. And this one just completely bucks the trend, and I'm all for it. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, give me a follow, and I'll see you guys next time.